Pratt gonna throw. Pratt pressured. It is picked off by Zayvon Collins. And the player we debuted at the beginning of the game is gonna end it for Tulsa in double overtime. You have got to be kidding me. Zayvon Collins, Tulsa, double-digit comeback. Book it. The Golden Hurricane has blown in again, and they will win in an all-time thriller.
Listen, we give you scholarships, we give you, stipends and meals and a place to live. We give you nice uniforms. I can't give you guts, and I can't give you heart. And tonight, hey, it was BYOG, bring your own guts. And they brought some guts and some heart, and they never quit.
Go Tigers!
What is up, everybody? My name is Jeffrey Gardner. Welcome back once again to another episode of Upset Alert. We are out here. We are out here on a Thursday, going live with our predictions for the coming weekend in college football. Apologies to those of you who were watching live on twitch.tv/robotbraineater. A little bit of a false start in terms of the technical side of things. First of all, a little bit of a starting the stream prematurely and nothing being, and now we've got a little video hiccup. But thanks for sticking with us. Thanks for tuning in live here on Twitch. For those of you who are joining us here, if you want to join us live on video, again, it's twitch.tv/robotbraineater, where you can join us on the live video version of the podcast, normally with some video highlights of some games from the previous week going in the background. If that sounds like something you're interested, again, twitch.tv/robotbraineater is where you can follow me. You'll get that email notification every time we go live to do the show here. And of course, you can always find us on podcast services around the world: Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon, Google, everything like that. Really everything like that. Just various podcast formats, of course, from all over. Outside of that, we also have our over on Twitter at Upset Alert Pod. Sorry, as I'm fiddling with the back end of things, trying to get this resolved so you guys can actually get some video to look at during the chat here. But yeah, other than that, it's twice a week that we're live here on Twitch, as well as podcast services. Monday and Thursday are normal time and place, and outside of that, we really just try to get into a little bit of predictions here on our Thursday episode, and Monday, of course, reviewing the weekend. And all the results of the various college football games. It looks like we're going to have some video issues today, so I'll just go ahead and put this on a different one here. But yeah, so as we move into the games for this weekend, we do have two games tonight, Thursday night. I already did my predictions for those on Monday, since this episode won't go live for until basically kickoff time for the first game tonight. We do have Louisiana Tech at North Texas, 6 p.m. on CBS Sports Network tonight. So that one I did pick Louisiana Tech on the road. I think they're going to beat North Texas. That one's a pick 'em actually right now, but I like the Bulldogs in that matchup. And then Air Force at Utah State. I do like Air Force in that one on the road. They're about a 13-point favorite at the Aggies of Utah State. Moving into tomorrow's slate, we have Southern Miss at UTEP get canceled. I know Sippy Show is going to be disappointed about that one, as well as Boise State at UNLV. That one got canceled too. But we do have a good one tomorrow night, 8:30 p.m. on ESPN. We've got number 25, Louisiana, the Raging Cajuns, at App State. That is an exciting game in the Sun Belt. That is last year's Sun Belt Conference Championship game. Now, it's not quite a preview of this year's conference championship game over in the Sun Belt, but still two very good teams. Louisiana, of course, will be in that game. They will be competing for the Sun Belt Conference Championship this year. App State will not, having lost to Coastal Carolina now. It's all but certain, I believe, at this point. But Coastal Carolina certainly appears to be a good team. So this App State team, which played them close pretty much the entire game, is still a pretty exciting team, I think. So it'll be interesting to see how the Mountaineers compete on their home turf against a very good Raging Cajuns team. That will, though, be the only game tomorrow night. Currently, we're looking at App State as a 2.5-point favorite, actually, at home in that football game. So pretty interesting to me. I do think Louisiana probably has been the better team this year, but certainly can't count out the Mountaineers of App State there in the Sun Belt, especially in Boone. Moving into Saturday's slate, and we do have a nice full slate of games, so we'll get right into these here. We have number 4, Ohio State at Michigan State. This is noon on ABC. Ohio State comes in as a 24-point road favorite over Sparty. And quite frankly, that's not too shocking, right? Michigan State is riding high off of a big top 10 upset win over Northwestern. I would not count your chickens before they hatch on a second consecutive top 10 upset for the for the Spartans of Michigan State. They got the Wildcats, of course, of Northwestern last week. I don't think they're going to do the same against Ohio State this week. This is legitimately one of the 4 best teams in college football until further notice in Columbus, Ohio. So the Buckeyes should go on the road and pick up a comfortable road win. Maybe Michigan State, with a little bit of momentum, rides high into this one and keeps it a little closer than that 24-point margin, but I do think the Buckeyes get a comfortable win regardless. We had number 5, Texas A&M at Auburn this noon on ESPN. Auburn fell to 5-3 last week with a loss in the Iron Bowl. Texas A&M continues to play great football, though, 6-1. They're coming off a 20-7 win over LSU. The Aggies are a 6.5-point favorite on the Plains in Auburn. I do like the Aggies on the road against Auburn here. I think Texas A&M picks up a win, maybe a little close. Texas A&M has had some close ones. At 27 against LSU, probably closer than most folks thought. Early in the season, remember they had a game where they really struggled to put Vanderbilt away. So I do like this Texas A&M team to win, of course, but maybe a little closer than the experts think. Number 15, Oklahoma State at TCU. Oklahoma State is 6-2 on the season. Still alive, I suppose, in the conversation for the college football playoff. They have lost, of course, now to a couple of the Big 12 foes, but everybody in the Big 12 has at least 2 losses. So it's really interesting. You got Oklahoma, Texas, I suppose, now is probably out of it with 3 losses. But you got Oklahoma, Oklahoma State, and Iowa State all with just 2 losses in the Big 12 to this point. So things are kind of interesting over there in the Big 12. But OK State on the road against TCU as a 2-point favorite here. I do like them, and I like them to cover those 2 points, I think, pretty easily. It might be somewhat of a low-scoring game. You see this OK State team, of course, rely heavily on their run game and a good defense, but I do like the Pokes to win by at least that field goal margin, right? Probably more like a touchdown to 10 points. At least there. Baba Joey in the chat. Shout out Baba Joey. I am a guest. We're talking some college football. So noon on ACC Network, we've got Western Carolina at number 17, North Carolina. North Carolina should be a heavy favorite in this one, and frankly, they are. They're favored by one of the largest margins you'll ever see, 49.5 points, 50 points that the Tar Heels are favored by in this one. I think the Tar Heels are gonna win by about 50, quite frankly. So take that for what you will. That's an easy win for North Carolina. We got Rice at number 21, Marshall, 12 p.m. on ESPN+. Marshall favored by 23.5. I like the Thundering Herd big in this one. They're 7-0 rolling into this game against the Rice team. Noon on ESPN3, we got Toledo at Northern Illinois. Toledo favored on the road by 9.5. I do like Toledo on the road in that one. I don't know about that 9.5 point margin, but if I had to guess, I guess Toledo's probably going to cover there. We got Kansas at Texas Tech. That is noon on Fox Sports 2. That is Texas Tech favored by 27.5, 4 touchdowns over a very bad Kansas team. I don't know about the 4 touchdown margin necessarily for Texas Tech against Air, but Kansas is real bad. So I do like Texas Tech, of course, to win that game. We got Texas at Kansas State. That's noon on Fox. Texas favored by a touchdown on the road. Coming off that loss last weekend to Iowa State, I do think the Longhorns bounce back against Kansas State team who has fallen on some hard times as far as their record is concerned. Noon on the Big Ten Network, we've got Nebraska at Purdue. Purdue is a 2-point favorite in this game. I do like Purdue to win this football game. Noon, Fox Sports 1, Penn State at Rutgers. Penn State a 10-point favorite on the road. I don't know about a 10-point favorite for Penn State here. Penn State has not been a particularly good team, shall we say, very generously this season. The Nittany Lions have been awful, quite frankly. Rutgers at home, plus 10 at least, seems like smart money to me. I think the Rutgers has a decent chance to win this game outright, but for now I am going to roll with what I think is a superior team talent-wise, and that is the Nittany Lions of Penn State. Noon on ESPN Plus, we've got Memphis at Tulane. I do like Memphis comfortably in this game. They're 6-2 on the year. Tulane is a 1.5 favorite over the Tigers of Memphis right now. So interesting to me that a 5-5 Tulane team that has been okay at times, has played well at times, is a home favorite over what I think is a really good Memphis team. It's one of those instances where maybe Vegas knows more than we do. Maybe you should roll with the number that doesn't seem to make sense, but I'm going with Memphis on the road here. I think they win outright. We got Arkansas at Missouri, our last noon game of the weekend. That is SEC Network. Mizzou is favored by 3 points over the Hogs. I like Mizzou at home in this game based on the way they've played lately. They dropped a cool 40-burger on Vanderbilt in their most recent game. So Mizzou to pick up the home win and move to 5-3, which would actually be pretty good. Definitely better than anyone expected, I think, to this point in the season for the Tigers of Missouri. Don't count out the Hogs yet, though. Arkansas is not a bad team, and they have outperformed expectations in most of their games this season. So watch out for the Razorbacks on the road. They certainly are alive and kicking. We also had, I'll just mention real quick in here, number 14 Northwestern in Minnesota canceled. Kent State at Miami, Ohio also canceled. Decent matchup in the MAC there. We've got Troy at South Alabama. That's 2 p.m. on ESPN3. Taking a look down here, both teams 0-4 on the season. Akron is a 2.5-point favorite at home. I guess I'm a road, maybe to be contrarian to the point spread there, but that's not a particularly interesting game, needless to say. Baba Joey in the chat, how are you? I am doing very well. Thank you for asking, Baba Joey. Hope you are doing well as well. I'm planning on doing another stream at some point later this evening, playing some games. For those of you who are listening to the podcast and unaware, I do use this Twitch for other things than the podcast. I've been streaming some video games lately, some Call of Duty and all that good stuff. State at Michigan, 2 p.m. ESPNU. Both these teams are 3-1 coming into this one in the MAC. Central Michigan, a 1.5 favorite at home here. I am going to roll with the Chippewas of Central Michigan. Going along here, we've got Eastern Michigan 0-4 on the season, but they played a very close one against a good Central Michigan team a couple of weeks ago. Western Michigan, however, 4-0, though their most recent win was not particularly sexy. They are 4-0, 2 p.m. ESPN Plus. I do like the Broncos of Western Michigan to move to 5-0 and move those Eastern Michigan Eagles to 0-5 on the season. We have Syracuse at Notre Dame. Again, almost inverted records. Syracuse 1-9, number 2 Notre Dame 9-0 on the season, 2:30 NBC. You can see I'm flying through this week's picks because a lot of these games are lopsided like this. Notre Dame a 34-point favorite at home this week on NBC. Notre Dame's going to win big, quite frankly. Not much to that one. Louisiana Monroe at Arkansas State, 3 p.m. on ESPN3. UL Monroe is 0 on the year. Arkansas State, not a ton better. They've been 3-7. Quite a disappointing year for the Red Wolves. That one again, 3 p.m. ESPN3. Arkansas State, a 21-point favorite at home. I do think the Red Wolves win. 6 Florida at Tennessee. Florida, of course, rolling in at 7-1. Tennessee just 2-5. Certainly a disappointing year. Starting to have some talk of Jeremy Pruitt maybe being out as the head coach at Tennessee this year. This is the 3:30 CBS game, I think, just in prestige alone. Tennessee, of course, has not been a formidable foe to much of anyone this year. Florida comes in as a 17.5-point favorite on the road. I think the Gators win, and frankly, I think they cover comfortably in this game. Tennessee has not looked great in several weeks. Florida, on the other hand, is humming along toward that SEC championship game with Alabama. 3:30 on ESPN, we got West Virginia at number 9, Iowa State. Iowa State riding high off a big win against Texas last week. Iowa State at 7-2, West Virginia at 5-3. The Cyclones are a 6.5-point favorite at home. This is actually a sneaky good game this week. West Virginia at 5-3, really not far off from being the level of team that Iowa State, Oklahoma, and Oklahoma State have been thus far this season in the Big 12. So you got the Mountaineers, a good team on the road against probably, in my opinion, an even better Iowa State team. Iowa State has earned that number 9 next to their name. They're one of the best, if not the best, 2-loss teams in the country. I do think they get the home win and move to 8 long toward the Big 12 championship game. Then we've got maybe the best game of the week, at least one of the best games of the week. We'll get to another later that I think is actually going to take that title. 3:30 on ABC, number 16 Wisconsin hosting number 12 Indiana. Now there's a few angles that you can take to this, a few different approaches. We are looking at a team in Indiana that, of course, has outperformed pretty much anyone's expectations for them from this season. But their stud quarterback, Michael Penix Jr., I'll have to double check his first name on that, but Penix Jr., of course, has been injured for the season. He is out at Indiana. It is Michael Penix Jr. Just had to double check myself. That's a pet peeve of mine when folks call players the wrong name on shows like this. But Penix, is a big part of this Indiana offense and was a big part of why they won some of the big games that they did. Wisconsin has been disqualified from the Big Ten championship game because they've had too many games get canceled this year. They're playing a short schedule, and they've already lost one, so they really don't have much to play for. I'm not sure why they are a 2-touchdown favorite in this game, even with the injury to Penix. I like this Indiana team on the road, frankly, to win outright. I think they're a better team than Wisconsin from what we've seen thus far this year, and I think they really, really have a chance to win it outright. If not, they're definitely, to me, keeping it closer than 2 touchdowns. If not, you can replay this clip for me in a week and tell me how stupid I am. But yeah, I think that is one of the better games of the weekend. It's really exciting. It's really exciting. Number 19, Iowa at Illinois. This is 3:30 on Fox Sports 1. Illinois at home is a 2-touchdown underdog here. The Hawkeyes are going to win this one, quite frankly. I have no faith in Illinois beating anyone. I like the Hawkeyes to win this one on the road. Let's see. Baba Joey says, man, you're my fave streamer. Every time I'm in your stream, I feel calm, happy, and excited. Keep doing what you're doing, man. You'll be big one day. Thank you so much. Baba Joey always brings the positivity to the streams, whether it's the podcast or Call of Duty or whatever it may be. I appreciate the kind words. And thanks for playing yesterday, too. You carried me a little bit in those last couple of games. We've got number 24 Tulsa at Navy, 3:30 on ESPN2. Tulsa 5-1 on the season. This is a good team out of the AAC. I think they're going to win on the road pretty comfortably over the midshipmen of Navy. This is a 12-point spread here in favor of the Golden Hurricane. I think they probably cover there, frankly. We got Boston College at Virginia. 6-4 Boston College has been pretty good this year. 3:30 on ESPN. Virginia, mysteriously a 4-point favorite at home. I don't really understand there. I'm going with the Eagles outright on the road. Maybe there's something I'm missing, but I like Boston College on the road there. 3:30 p.m. CBS Sports Network. We've got Buffalo at Ohio. Buffalo an 11.5-point favorite on the road. I do like Buffalo to continue to roll their way toward what I think will be a MAC championship season for them. We had Maryland at Michigan get canceled this week. Just toss that in there real quick. And we move into the 4 o'clock hour here. 4 p.m. on the SEC Network. Georgia, number 8, Georgia, my alma mater, of course, is a 35.5-point favorite against Vanderbilt. Georgia plays for the second week in a row a team that's coming off the firing of their head coach. They played South Carolina last week. That turned out all right for them. It was actually their biggest margin of victory against an SEC team since the Florida Gators in 2017, where they won that game 42-7. Of course, a rare blowout at the world's largest outdoor cocktail party. This game is going to be all Georgia, quite frankly. They continue to just let it fly on offense and sharpen that defense back up from where it was against the Mississippi State game and against the likes of Florida and Alabama, of course, earlier in the season. And Georgia continues to build, I think, toward what they can be for next season. Vanderbilt looks for anything positive at all in that one. 4 p.m. on Fox, we've got Stanford at number 22, Washington. Washington has earned that top 25 ranking. They are 3-0 to this point in the season, 11.5-point favorites at home over the tree of Stanford, the Cardinal, of course, the actual mascot. But if you're not familiar with the way it looks, the actual mascot character at Stanford, one of the most ridiculous looking things you will ever lay eyes on in your entire life. Basically a Christmas tree with googly eyes and buck teeth is what you're thinking about there. The Huskies of Washington, though, they are a significant favorite for a reason in this game. I think they cover that 11.5-point spread. They're a good football team this year. They may be actually the favorites in the Pac-12 North until Oregon can maybe shut them up in a couple of weeks when those two teams do collide. 4 p.m., no TV time slot for this one, actually, which is a little disappointing. Not a bad game. We've got San Jose State at Hawaii in the Mountain West. San Jose State, a 1-point favorite on the road. I do like San Jose State in this game. They have certainly been better than Hawaii thus far this season. On paper, before the season, I would have picked Hawaii in this game, but I like what I'm seeing right now out of the old SJSU. 4 p.m. on ACC Network, Georgia Tech at NC State. This is on the ACC Network again. I believe I'm repeating myself at this point. NC State 7-3 on the year, very quietly putting together a solid season. They are a touchdown favorite at home against the Yellow Jackets, and I do think NC State wins this one pretty comfortably. That 7-point margin feels small feels real small to me. Georgia Tech is not as good as that 3-5 record, and the 3-5 record isn't good. They have been really bad for the most part this season. One of those 3 wins is against a horrible Florida State football team, so I like the Wolfpack of NC State to win big here. 5:30 p.m. on ESPNU, we have the best game of the week. Baba Joey says, gotta go. Thank you so much for stopping by, Baba Joey. I appreciate the love and the streams always. I will see you tonight. I am not sure what we will be streaming or what time exactly we'll be streaming, but we absolutely will be streaming something tonight. We have, after the dramatic pause there, number 13 BYU at number 18 Coastal Carolina, a rare matchup of undefeated teams this late in the season, not in a bowl game. 9-0 versus 9-0. This is the type of exciting matchup that both of these teams need to prove to everyone how good they actually are this season, because these are both great teams. Coastal Carolina has run roughshod on the Sun Belt Conference all season long. BYU has run roughshod on everyone. Of course, they're an independent, but they have run roughshod on a very, very weak schedule this season. BYU is a 10-point favorite on the road against the Chanticleers of Coastal Carolina. I have to say I am going to roll with BYU in this game. The Cougs, the Chanticleers, of course, not only do they have one of the greatest mascots in all of college football, they have been a great football team. They really, at every turn where folks doubted them, they have answered the bell. Now, why would this weekend be any different? That is a darn good question, and that's why I do think this could be closer than that 10-point margin. I don't know if it will. I think if I had to make an absolute pick in this game, I'm going to say BYU by about 10 to 20. But just because I think that offense at BYU, Zach Wilson for Heisman, he is the real deal. I don't know if he's going to win the Heisman because of some of the guys that are ahead of him, notably Kyle Trask at Florida. But Zach Wilson is the real deal. He is a serious dual-threat quarterback and a serious Heisman Trophy candidate at BYU this year. Coastal Carolina is going to give them a game for most of the game, I think, but that BYU offense is just too much. I think that those boys in blue from Utah are going to pick up a tough road win on the teal turf at Coastal Carolina. Moving right along, 6 p.m. ESPN Plus. We got Florida Atlantic at Georgia Southern, and this is another mind-boggling spread to me. Georgia Southern, a 2.5-point home favorite. I like FAU on the road. They're 5-1 on the year, one of the best teams in Conference USA, outside of your Marshalls, for example, who are just rolling along in Conference USA. I think they, are a team that's going to be a serious conference championship contender going forward. That's the Owls of FAU there. Georgia Southern has been a good team, but they're at 6-4. Some of the wins have been close. I do think this is a good team. I'm higher on them than most folks, I think, week in and week out. But I don't get the 2.5-point favorite Georgia Southern in this game against a very good FAU team. I think FAU wins outright on the road. 7 p.m. on ESPN, we've got number 23 Oregon at Cal. Oregon freshly bumped down in those college football playoff rankings following their upset loss to Oregon State. Cal, of course, is winless this season. They have not been very good. Oregon favored by 10 on the road here. I think they win, and they probably cover in that game, though you could see this team come out a little deflated at first just because they don't have much to play for at this point. One loss in the Pac-12 this year in this reduced schedule is enough to doom you. I mean, in a normal year, it's almost enough to doom you to not be able to make a playoff spot But even if Oregon wins out, they will not make the playoff. And that's true of any Pac-12 team that has one loss. Frankly, it might be true of USC, even if they win out undefeated in the Pac-12. There's just too many good teams that are showing up out of the SEC, the ACC, the Big Ten, the Big 12 even maybe might have an edge because of the longer schedule on the Pac-12. And frankly, out of the group of five, I mean, look at Coastal Carolina, look at BYU, look at Cincinnati, look at Marshall. All four of those teams would be ahead to me if they were all to stay undefeated, which obviously isn't going to happen. But if they were to stay undefeated, any of those teams ahead of a one-loss Pac-12 champion, quite frankly. Moving on, we got Colorado State at San Diego State, 7 p.m. on CBS Sports Network. San Diego State's an 8-point favorite at home. I do like the Aztecs at home to beat the Rams of Colorado State. 7 p.m. Fox Sports 1, we got Colorado at Arizona. Colorado a touchdown favorite here. I like Colorado on the road, and that's something I didn't think I'd be saying much of this season. Arizona is not one of the better teams in the Pac-12. They're winless to this point, of course, but even in the preseason, I would have put them ahead of Colorado. Not so much anymore. I like the Buffaloes on the road against the Wildcats of Arizona. 7:30 on ABC, we've got number 3 Clemson on the road against Virginia Tech. Clemson, of course, 8-1 with their only loss to the number 2 team in the country, Notre Dame. 22.5 on the road against Virginia Tech. I like Clemson, and I like them big. That's about all there is to it. Trevor Lawrence is back, and they are back in business. They are going to roll all the way to the ACC championship game unless something really drastic happens at Clemson. 7:30 on the SEC network, we've got 2 teams that have struggled this year. South Carolina coming in at 2-7. Kentucky coming in at 3-6. Kentucky are home favorites here by 11.5 points. I don't know how much faith I would have had in South Carolina to win this game before they fired their head coach midseason. With that turmoil added in there, I just think it throws everything into an even bigger mess. I think the Wildcats of Kentucky win this one at home. We have number 1 Alabama at LSU. Alabama, of course, 8-0. LSU just 3-4 on the season. For some reason, CBS decided that they were going to still make this a primetime game. 8 p.m. on CBS this season. Alabama favored by 29.5. Has to be one of the bigger spreads in this game in recent memory. I mean, there's not much to say here, right? LSU's defense for most of the season, now it has gotten a little better over the last couple of weeks, but LSU's defense for most of the season has been dreadfully bad. LSU fans already want Bo Pelini gone as defensive coordinator. He's only been there half a season. It's not good. And the LSU offense has had a lot of injuries, so you can't really fairly judge that, I feel, a year after one of the greatest college quarterbacks due to a national championship with one of the greatest teams of all time, and the LSU offense, arguably the greatest unit, either side of the football in a decade or more. So it's hard to follow that up, right? I understand that, but 3-4 is definitely not what the Tigers or their fan base had in mind. They're going to fall to 3-5. Quite frankly, Alabama is going to blow them out in this game. It's just a matter of by how many points. I don't know if they cover that 30-point margin, honestly. I think the LSU defense appears to have woken up at least a little bit, playing with a little bit of pride. I do think their offense finds a way to get, a touchdown or 2 across the board on the Crimson Tide just for their pride. But man, after that audio clip of Ed Orgeron in the locker room leaked last year, the whole Roll Tide blank you, insert expletive there. I I wouldn't be surprised to see Nick Saban and Alabama really run it up in this game, and that's going to be unfortunate. If you're an LSU football fan, just bask in the fact that last year you were the national champion and you had one of the greatest seasons of all time in college football. Moving right along, we've got 8 p.m. on the ACC network. Number 10, Miami at Duke. Not much to say here. Miami comes in at 7-1. Duke 2-7. Miami 15-point favorites. They're going to roll in this one. The Hurricanes, the U, are going to win big. 8 p.m. on Fox, we've got Baylor at number 11, Oklahoma. Oklahoma has moved to 6-2 after another win. Baylor has not been good this year, but did just pick up a win. So OU, the 22-point favorites at home here, are going to win. It's just a matter, again, of by how many points. Lots of lopsided games on the slate this week. 9 p.m. on ESPNU, we've got SMU hosting Houston. Now, SMU just had, to me, one of the worst upset losses of the entire season against East Carolina, of all teams, who have been dreadfully bad outside of that one game all season long. SMU should win this game against Houston. They're a 1.5-point favorite in this one. Houston, however, SMU should win this one at home. Houston, however, is a 1.5-point favorite on the road. I misread that for a moment. That's another one of those inexplicable ones to me, unless you're banking on SMU just having had a fortunate run, perhaps, and maybe getting exposed against East Carolina. I'm rolling with the assumption that SMU is more like the team that they looked like for most of the season, and so I do think they're going to win at home against the Cougs of Houston. 10:30 p.m. Pac-12 After Dark, UCLA at Arizona State. This is Fox Sports 1. Arizona State, a 3-point favorite at home. The Sun Devils have only played one game this year. I did not say that wrong. I did not read that wrong. They have played one game. They're 0-1 this season. Every other game has been canceled due to COVID-19 related reasons. UCLA, until this season, had never made it to 500. They had always been below 500, even early in the season. Never made it to 1-1, never made it to 2-2 under Chip Kelly. They've done it twice now this year. They've made it to 1-1, they've made it to 2-2. Is this the week that Chip Kelly's UCLA Bruins go over 500 with a road win against Arizona State? I'll tell you what. Arizona State, you've only played one game. UCLA at this point will be coming into their 5th game. I think I saw something in this UCLA team and in Chip Kelly as a head football coach at the college level in that game against Oregon. I thought I saw something where they started to turn a corner a little bit. I'm taking UCLA on the road outright. I think they got the win here, and I think this team's going to go above 500 for the first time in the Chip Kelly era at UCLA. So hopefully those guys over in Los Angeles, in Pasadena, I guess technically, are having a good time. Listen to this. Hopefully they have a good time at about 1:00 Eastern when that game wraps up, or I suppose it'd be closer to 2:00 Eastern when that game would wrap up. Regardless, I've drawn out here. 10:30 p.m. Fox Sports 1, Fresno State at Nevada. This is actually a sneaky good game in the Mountain West. Lost teams matching up here. Fresno State at 3-1, Nevada at 5-1. Nevada was getting very close to our top 25 at 5-0. Over on our updated rankings on Twitter at Upset Alert Pod. They, of course, have fallen back now after a loss tacked on to that. I do like Nevada at home, though. They're a 7-point favorite here. This Fresno State team has not been bad, but I am going to go with Nevada on this one. 10:30 p.m. CBS Sports Network. It's Wyoming at New Mexico. Wyoming, a 17.5-point favorite on the road. I like the Cowboys here on the road. New Mexico, frankly, we say it week in and week out, is one of the worst teams in college football this year. So the Cowboys of Wyoming ugly unis and all, the brown and yellow are going to pick up a road win here. 10:30 p.m. ESPN, we've got Oregon State fresh off one of the biggest upset wins of the entire college football season last week. They are on the road against an 0-2 Utah team. So Utah, another one of those Pac-12 teams, just has not managed to play most of their games to this point. Only 2 on the books for the Utes. Oregon State does have a little more experience here. They are riding high after a win, but Utah an 11-point favorite at home. I think I like Oregon State to keep it closer than that 11-point margin, riding high with some of the momentum after the win over the Ducks last weekend. But I do think Utah picks up their first win this weekend. And moves to 1-2. We do have a couple of jobs on a couple of games on Sunday. Sunday, December the 6th, we've got 2 games. Western Kentucky at Charlotte, noon on ESPN3. Charlotte is a 1.5 favorite in that one at home. I do like Western Kentucky on the road in this one. I'm going to go with the Hilltoppers up against Charlotte. And then 7:30 p.m. on Fox Sports 1, we've got Washington State at number 20 USC. An interesting Sunday night Pac-12 matchup there. Washington State has not looked terrible in the limited action that we've seen them in this year. USC, of course, is the Pac-12's probably only chance, quite frankly, at a college football playoff slot. It's not going to happen anyway, even if they win out, just because of the shortened schedule in the Pac-12 and so many good teams ahead of them. But the Trojans could make a statement about who they are as a football team moving forward. Remember, in terms of eligibility, most of the players that are playing this season, even some of the upperclassmen, could come back. No one loses a year of eligibility in this weird year due to all the COVID-19 regulations and guidelines in the NCAA. So if you win and go undefeated as USC, you're still making a statement. And if you can bring most of those guys back, most of your top guys back, then you could run to the Pac-12 championship a second year in a row, and then maybe you're talking about a college football playoff slot when you're playing more than a 6-game regular season. So the Trojans I do like at home in this game. They're a 13-point favorite again against Wazoo. Of course, just 1-1 on the year thus far, as I was mentioning, is Washington State. That's about going to wrap us up for episode number 93. Hard to believe we have come this far, 93 episodes of Upset Alert. Those are our weekly picks right there. I know I dragged on along for a little bit in the middle there, but tried to start off fast and finish fast for the most part on the picks there. Again, I want to thank you guys as always for listening. As a quick reminder, I know I say it at the top of the show, but just want to wrap it up this way as well. If you ever want to watch the show live on video, technical glitches and all, like we had today, it's twitch.tv/robotbraineater, where you can subscribe to the channel or follow the channel, I guess technically is the terminology there. You get the email notifications when we go live for the podcast. It'll tell you when we're going live, and I try to update that over on our Twitter as well at Upset Alert Pod, as long as it is a planned thing and not a spur of the moment decision. But yeah, you'll get the notifications when I go live on video, and you can come hang out in the chat, just like Baba Joey did today, just like Sippy Show has done in the past as well. You can drop your comments. I'll read them out live on the air for all of our podcast listeners to hear all over the world. Again, we are also on podcast services, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon, Google, really all over the place. And one last shout out to the Twitter account as well. We are on Twitter over at Upset Alert Pod. So if you do want to give us a follow on there as well, it's the best place to keep up with us from an overall perspective, because that's where we retweet and share all the college football news of the day, as well as particularly on Saturdays, on game days. We do a lot of score updates on there. So if there's too many games on, you don't want to keep track of 10 different games that are going at the same time and see, well, should I be watching this one? Should I be watching this one? Is that one still close? We kind of update all those scores on there every 30 minutes or so, normally on game days, so that you can make your decision a little easier on what game you need to flip to catch the last overtime, what game you need to flip to see the big touchdown drive that might change the game. All of that good stuff. So I'm going to stop rambling on and on here and go ahead and wrap things up. Again, it's been episode 93 of Upset Alert. I just want to thank you guys once again so much for listening to the show, however you are joining us, whether it's Twitch or on podcast services, whatever it may be. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day here on Thursday or whenever you're listening to it. And until Monday, when we do our weekly recap of the games this coming weekend, hope you have a wonderful rest of the day again, and we will see you on Monday.